Right, there's no one that epitomizes Love Your Journey more than my next guest, and that is the universe boss, Chris Gayle himself. He joins me from his home in Kingston. Hi, Chris, how are you?
Hi, Tim. I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you. Hope you're well yourself.
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I just want to ask you a few things about how you began in your cricketing career. You've got an incredible journey, first of all. You've come from a, you've probably heard this loads of times, but you've got an incredible journey coming from Kingston all the way to being universe boss and top of the world. But it all started for you at the Lucas Cricket Club. Now that was opposite your house where you lived as a kid.
Yep, absolutely, man. That's the community is called Rollington Town. Okay, that's where I grew up. And I used to attend a school called Rollington Town Primary as well. But as you know, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister. And, you know, all my brothers, they all play cricket. I'm the second to last one. And eventually, you know, it actually runs in the blood. So automatically, I'm going to play cricket as well. But football was my passion as a kid growing up. And, you know, I used to play both sport, you know, day in, day out. And, you know, eventually today where I'm at now is actually, you know, cricket take me this far and give me whatever I've actually accomplished in my life. So I'm thankful for that as well. But back then in Rollington Town, cricket was always a priority, but I used to love football. So all started at Lucas Cricket Club. You know, that's the famous club of George Headley as well. So that's where it all started for me. Used to score the board or score the book, and just cricket day in, day out. You know, we play on the street, we play in the concrete strip, you name it. We always find a place to play cricket. We play in the Lucas Pavilion as well. So it's a lot of story behind it, man.
Well, because you grew up in quite a humble home, and you shared a room with all your brothers, didn't you? Or was it one room you shared?
Absolutely. We grew up in a 2-bedroom house, you know, so mom and dad take one and we have to share the rest, you know, so that's how we actually grew up. And we improvise, you know, and Lucas Cricket Club provide water for us at times.
Oh, well, because I read your autobiography, and I've also been to the Lucas Ground with you last year. And the Lucas Ground is literally just over the road from your house. And you used to go through, I read, that there used to be a gap in the wall and you used to crawl through the gap.
Yeah, but yes, we used to have loads of hole in the walls. So instead of climbing over, sometimes you just go straight through the hole. And you know, you're small and skinny those days as well. So you just
I can't imagine you small.
Wasn't a problem to get through any particular hole there, man. It was easy access, so we used to utilize it as well. So that's how we used to gain access rather than climbing over. Sometimes you climb back over.
So you started off scoring and doing the scoreboard, and then you had trials for them, or was there a youth system, or?
No, well, in club cricket you have minor cup, you have junior cup, and you have the senior cup. So you have to start at the minor cup level, and depends how good you are, then you keep bumping up. Sometimes if the senior teams are a player short, then you might get a chance as well. So that's where I started. Started with the minor cup, but you know, dominating school cricket was always something I've done. And then eventually, you know, you get more exposure by playing club cricket as well.
Do you
and then
first?
you get a chance to dominate the junior cup. I remember that time, you know, youth cricket was on. My brother was playing youth cricket. Andrew Gayle, Garrett Breeze, and those guys, Alfred Gibbons. So when they went to play youth cricket for represent Jamaica in the youth cricket tournament, under 19 tournament, that's when I get my chance to stamp my authority, and then I get called up on the senior team, and then I started playing senior cup there. So it was fantastic, and you just never really looked back from there on in.
So when you were a kid, though, were you a really good player as a kid? Did you develop straight away, or were you a late bloomer?
Yeah, I was the greatest kid around at that time, you know. So it goes without saying, because I dominate every aspect you can think of. If cricket was in basic school at that time, I would be the number one.
You're always
number one force in that. In primary school, number one player. High school, number one player. Club cricket, become the number one player as well. So
Do you remember your first senior game at Lucas? The first
Yep,
time you played
that's yeah, man. I remember my first game was actually when the same my brothers, well, my brother, Andrew Gayle, Alfred Givens, they went to play youth cricket. Garrett Breeze, they went to play to represent the country for under 19 youth cricket. And my first game was actually was in Manchester. You know, it was Manchester. I can't remember the name of the ground, but yes, I remember. I batted long that particular day. I got about 25 runs, but the outfield was very thick.
Yeah.
I reckon I scored over I scored over 100 if it was a normal ground. Because you know, I got close. I think I got 40 something. Yeah, batted long though. Was pretty decent start within the Senior Cup,
Now,
Senior Cup career.
now you're a really confident guy, very sure of your own ability. At what age did you think I'm going to play for the West Indies?
That wasn't on my mind, to be honest with you. I wasn't thinking about West Indies cricket. No way. I was just having fun.
Yeah. Didn't you see
Yep.
when you? I mean, I've been to Lucas Ground. You see George Headley's name written on the side of the pavilion. Didn't you ever look
I
at?
have no idea. I have no idea down that line, to be honest with you. I'm just a free spirit kid, just doing what I love and having fun. Trust me.
Well, you went on from Lucas and you played for Jamaica, played for West Indies, and you started smashing centuries all over the world. And then you had a special moment at the Wanderers, the Bullring in Johannesburg.
Yep. No one will ever forget that moment. Becoming the first person.
Isn't it?
What's that?
T20, or well, the international T20 was still kind of new then.
Yep. It was new.
What year was this?
That was the first. That was against South Africa. I thought it was going to be. It was the World. Was it the World Cup?
Yeah, it was a World Cup.
T20 World Cup. Yeah, it was a T20 World Cup. Yep, 117 against South Africa. You know, that's where the phase of T20 game changed as well. You know, become the first person to score a century. So that was something spectacular, and I guess, well, not even guess, that gave people hope. So yeah, hey, you know, 100 can score in T20 cricket as well, and then eventually we have so many century in T20 format now, but they're not too close to me anyway. When you look at it, you know, I've still got 22 overall. So,
well, I think the next closest to you in number of centuries is someone with 9. Is it Klinger with 9?
I think so, maybe 9 or 8. I think so. Yeah. Well, they have a lot of cricket to play and to catch up with.
I don't think that he's going to catch up with 22. Not for a long time, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
That game in Joburg, when you went out to bat, I just want to get through the mentality of what you're thinking when you go out there, because you usually see yourself in for a few balls, but then do you target certain bowlers or?
Yeah, sometimes it depends how you work it out. You know, sometimes it depends how you work it out. Sometimes you as a batter, things will just flow naturally from ball one, and you'll be in a zone that, you know, you'll be untouchable. So it doesn't matter what you do; it's just always going accordingly to plan. So you have different moments when you're batting, and that was one of the moments where, you know, you just couldn't do anything wrong. You know, things are just coming out of the middle. Everything was just pretty much spot on. You're just the dominant force out there, and you know, so you just have to cash in and capitalize on that moment when you get that chance.
So when you feel that moment, when you know that you're in and you're hitting it well, are you thinking every ball? Are you thinking this is either going for 4 or 6?
Not necessarily every ball. You'll think that way, but it can get you in trouble as well, because that's where overconfidence comes in, and then, you know, you get carried away, and then eventually you give away your wicket. So you're just trying to you know, break it down, and, you know, not to be too aggressive in that zone or that mentality thoughts. Yeah. You know, just go with the flow still, and, you know, you take your chances, and, you know, eventually it will come off. But every player will get that moment
though. I haven't.
Well, you still have life, so you still have a chance.
Maybe one day, eh? Maybe one day.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, okay, that's a first ever century in international T20. One of the things which is remarkable about your career is that you've done it at all formats, and you already had scored a treble century at Test level, but then you went a goal against Sri Lanka in 2010, was it 2010?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, and you're playing Sri Lanka, and you scored 333.
Yep, that was one of the, if not more special than all, to be honest with you, because the previous tour to Sri Lanka wasn't the best of tour I had there. I scored about 40 runs, in a three test, or maybe 50 runs, over 50 runs in a three test series.
Yeah.
So I struggled there a lot, and then when that time came next, we went to Sri Lanka for another time after just losing the captaincy as well in Test cricket. Then to get 333 at Galle against Sri Lanka was special, because I remember those days, playing in Sri Lanka, man. Sometimes you know outfield for 3 to 4 new balls, man. You see 4 new balls. That's how long you're in the outfield for. You're feeling for that long. So it was very tough. And then for me to keep the likes of Sangakkara and Mahela Jawad, out there in the sun, I gotta give them a bit of taste of their own medicine as well, because they have done it so many times when they tour Sri Lanka or all around the world.
But you go from being this explosive T20 batsman then to batting. I mean, that was over 2 days, that innings. Got to ask, when you went at the end of the close of play on the first day of the innings, what were you on the score? Can you remember?
I think I was on maybe 180 something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I got the double century. I know I got the century very quickly. I think I got the double century in a day. I think I scored a double century in a day, because if my memory serves me right, I know I got the century very quickly because I was in that attacking zone.
Yeah. So
I scored a century very quickly. And then eventually after that, everything was just flowing. But if it's not a double century, maybe 180, I'm not sure. My memory is not too good these days.
But how's the mindset there? Because the mindset for a test match surely it's got to be different to a T20. You go to bed that night, you're not out on 180 on the big score. What's going through your mind? How are you sleeping? Are you going to bed thinking, God, I could get a double century, I could go on, I could get a 250?
No, you go to bed happy, man. You go to bed happy. You get a century, you're still not out. You have a chance to come back fresh tomorrow to build on whatever you can, get whatever more you can get. So you go to bed happy. You're tired, so you'll be in the bed quickly, you get your sleep, and then you wake up fresh. And that's the day you're looking forward to as well, because, hey, let's go and rumble and build on what you got so far. So sometimes it doesn't happen. You might, get out in the first over, but that's a game, So what you can get in a day, you take it. Nothing is guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, you've had so much success. Do you put it down to that calmness you have? I mean, that's an amazing amount of calmness you have over this. You talk about it as if it's almost nothing. And for a layman like myself, or a club player, or a supporter, a fan, you would have thought you'd be working overtime in the mind of what you're going to do, how you're going to think about the next day, how you're going to plan, how you're going to prepare. But
yeah, you don't want to crowd the mind too much. You want to keep it as simple as possible, so you can't have too much things on your mind. And you want to be very clear, when you go out there as well. So that's very important. So you got to be clear, make sure you're in the right mindset, and just try to stay as calm as possible. It helps you breathe properly, and it gives you a better way of balancing as well. You're keeping your head still and all these sort of things when you're batting.
But are you aware of records when you're going out there batting? I mean, when you go past 300, you're only, I think, one of 4 test players go past 300 twice in test cricket. I think Lara, Bradman, who's the other one?
Yeah, Sehwag.
Sehwag and yourself. Are you going to, I mean, you're passing 300. Do you start thinking, gosh, I'm going past the greats here. I'm really cementing my position in world cricket?
Not really, man. It's a huge milestone, man, to get a triple century. That's a huge milestone. I think it's more happiness to reach such far, getting a triple century. And whatever comes after that, then, you'll take it as well as a plus.
Yeah.
Of course, people are going to say, hey, the record is there, this and that, and all these other things. But it's a tough thing, man. You get tired mentally and physically as well. Your back get heavy. So it's not an easy task to really, get that deep as well. So that's one area where I fell short in as well, the physical and the mental part there.
And is that for you the pinnacle?
Yeah. Batting wise, yes. One of them.
And then we'll go forward now to the IPL. I mean, you've dominated the IPL now for the last decade or more. You're playing for the Royal Challengers Bangalore in Bengaluru, and you then break another world record and you score 175, the highest score that's ever been scored in T20 cricket. Now, I watched a replay of that on YouTube, and I think it's also the fastest century in T20. Is that a record that still stands? Do you know?
Yep, well, I think so. To be honest with you, I'll have to double check, but we can speak at the time. We can speak for the moment or the time it happened. But that was the record for cricket overall, the fastest century of 30 balls in any cricket format at all.
Yeah.
To get a 30-ball century, that was the fastest. So that was a record. And then, as you mentioned, the 175, the highest in T20 cricket as well. So that was also a record and still stand as well. So it's something out there, outstanding moment there as well. Chinasawami Stadium. Like I said, that's one of the moments again when you hit the first ball. Everything was in order, everything was connected. So we had a rain interrupted session. Went inside, speaking to Ravi Rampal, told him that it's the belt, a wicket out there. We need at least 180, 170 to give ourselves a chance to win this game. And eventually, I got 175, and the team got a massive total. So, like I say, one of those days, you just feel it.
After how many balls of that innings did you think, this is my day? You must have thought it quite early.
Yep, from the first over, yes.
RCB had the top four batsmen. Can you remember who the top four batsmen? Do you remember who you opened the innings with?
Yeah, Dilshan and
Virat
Kohli and AB4.
Yeah. I mean, as the top four goes in T20 batting, that's quite formidable.
Oh, absolutely, man. That's one of the great. That's one of the best lineup you could ever have in T20 cricket, man.
I mean, that's incredible. So much confidence. 4
fantastic players, man. That's phenomenal, man. Any team, you look at that and say, yes, I'll take that any day.
Yeah, it's probably, you could argue 4 of the best T20 players ever. You go on a couple of years later, we're going to the World Cup now. One Day International World Cup. It's in Australia, and you're playing Zimbabwe in Canberra. And there's one thing that's missing from all the accolades that you've got, and that was the world record for the One Day International score and the double century. And you scored 215 there.
Yep, World Cup. Getting the first double century in a World Cup, fantastic. That was another record at the time. It was phenomenal. Struggled a bit early on in a couple of the games and so forth. Had a close call in the same game against Zimbabwe. Went to review, came back. Umpires called not out, and then from there on, everything went according to plan, and then went berserk, hitting the ball all over the park again. You get to the fastest double century in ODI cricket. That was something fantastic again. And it was a big ground, It was a massive ground. Yeah, Canberra is a big ground. So just imagine if it was a smaller ground, maybe I could have get some more runs as well. But it was a big ground. I had hit 16 sixes, I think. Yeah, it was massive. Well, it was good.
But the other thing as well, in doing that, you became the first man and the only man to score a triple century at Test, double century at ODI, and a century at International T20.
Yep, phenomenal, huh? What an achievement.
You're getting a bit greedy with these records here, Chris.
Universe boss style.
You're a bit greedy. You've got to let someone else have a go.
Well, it's there for the taking. I wish them all the best.
When you were going out there and playing that, I think that 215 at the time was was that the highest score in one day international at the time?
It wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
First West Indian to get a double century.
Yeah.
It was the highest score in a World Cup until Guptill scored 37 against us.
Okay. Oh yeah, Guptill. That was only a few weeks later, wasn't it? Or a couple of weeks later.
Yeah, a couple of weeks later.
Yeah. Chris, thanks for chatting to me. And you've got some great memories and too many records.
Yep, plenty in the tank. Appreciate it, man. Good chatting with you as well.
All right. Cheers, Chris.